So we all know business is changing, competitive landscape is changing, and how data is being used is changing. Our ultimate goal is to help you fuel what we call the intelligent disruption, to bring you clarity in everything that you do. And there's no better place to do that than an Informatica World in San Francisco. So come and hear more from the experts, your peers, and from many of us at Informatica who help you understand how you embrace all these changes and become the disruptor.
Hey, it's FYL Sportsman, it's Lamont. We are back with another podcast episode. And man, today we got a special video for you guys. Man, we really had to dive deep into the research bin to get this information for you today. We're going to be bringing you all of that information. We're going to be addressing a lot of issues and again, even addressing what sparked our interest into this particular topic today. Before we get started, make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell to the video if you haven't done so already. We are grinding to 100K subscribers. 2022 is that year, man. We're going to continue to grind right until we hit that goal. Remember, some of you guys say you're not getting the notifications. That's okay. No excuses. Don't really care about if the notification bell is working or not. Make sure you guys follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook if you want notifications when our videos drop or when we plan to go live. And if you are having trouble with that notification bell, just unsubscribe, resubscribe again, and click the notification bell. Click all notifications, and generally that will fix the bug in the YouTube system. But here we are today, man. I know a lot of you guys are looking at this thumbnail. You see the collage of images. You see all of these people here. You see this lady here on the screen. A very unfamiliar face to many people. Now, some of you guys might know who she is. Even some of you guys might even recognize her name from the thumbnail. But we're going to really dive deep into this particular topic with regards to the lady on the thumbnail. Her name is Sally Jenkins. She's a sports writer. Most popularly known for her works and writings while she was with the Washington Post, right? So all of her writings, almost all of her writings while she was with the Washington Post, almost all of the articles have now been dedicated and actually upgraded as scholarly pieces, right? A lot of her writings and works on athletes, particularly Kwame Brown, are now within over 300 universities, listed as scholarly works, and they're looked at as educational and academic pieces that students should study. Right? This is how she's been identified. Right? She's done speeches at the University of Chicago, Berkeley, California, and Harvard. Again, all of which those universities have published her works, especially with the Washington Post, as scholarly journals or scholarly articles that are used for research by students. Right? And most of her works, a lot of the things that she said, a lot of the things that made her popular were her works and writings on a guy by the name of Kwame Brown. And some of you guys might be saying, well, what does this got to do? Kwame again? Look, I don't really want this to be a Kwame topic. Unfortunately, his name has popped up again, and I'm going to show you guys a image. This was the image right here that just kind of bothered me, and I'm gonna explain to you why. I saw this thumbnail, right? And again, I don't know how this channel particularly popped up on my algorithm, but I saw the thumbnail and I saw the title, and it says Kwame Brown sending Gilbert Arenas and the Get Along Gang a serious message. And on the thumbnail, it has Steven Jackson, Matt Barnes, and Gilbert Arenas. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm a sports fan, right? I've dealt with some NBA players, right? I have some friendships there in the league, and it's just starting to get to the point where, right, as a sports channel, you have to come to the defense of these players sometimes when you see that the narratives getting thrown their way, the accusations getting thrown their way are just completely false. And many of these players don't have the time, platform, to really address these issues publicly, the way they probably want to. So we're here at FYF Sports. We are here to do it correctly. Right now, we saw that thumbnail, right? And salute to that channel for dropping that video, right? Smash the like TV. Right, salute to them, man. My problem with what the video that they put out is they said Kwame Brown's message to Gilbert Arenas and the Go Along Get Along gang. They listed people like Steven Jackson and Matt Barnes on that thumbnail. I'm assuming that Kwame Brown has convinced a number of people that those three people are a part of this so-called Go Along Get Along gang, right? A term that he kind of made popular. Not particularly sure what group it is or what this group's agenda actually is, but I'll stay in a safe area and I'll say that it's just a bunch of people that he doesn't like. That's what the definition seems to be. Simply seems to be a whole bunch of people that he has some type of beef with, whether it's public or private, right? Whether he wants to disclose it or not. He has some type of gripe with those people. And when you look at this thumbnail here, right? Really, and the list is probably much bigger than this. These are all people that Kwame Brown has deemed to be a part of the Go Along Get Along gang. And this is excluding Sally Jenkins. But we got Dwayne Wade, obviously most hated blogger. We've seen him go at Kwame Brown, hood trucker, right? He's had his back and forth with Kwame Brown. Gilbert Arenas, most recently, we've all seen those back and forth between those two. Highly entertaining. Charlemagne the God, we saw those back and forth right there. DJ Envy, we've seen Kwame poke shots at him, even though DJ Envy really hasn't responded. LeBron James, Tommy Sotomayor, everybody knows the issues between him and Kwame Brown. You have Michael Wilbon, Chris Broussard, Jamel Hill, Matt Barnes, Steven Jackson, Michael Jordan, Hassan Campbell, and Dr. Boyce Watkins. What do all these people have in common? I mean, if you look at all these people, all of the people on the beef side, what do these people have in common? I mean, the only commonality that I see there is that they're all African American, either athletes or journalists, right? Or they're just simple YouTubers, with their own platforms, putting out their own messages. That's really all they are. But then we have here a lady by the name of Sally Jenkins. So what I'm going to do today, because, right, we've seen all of the videos. We even Smash the Like TV. They dropped the video. They are now also convinced, because Kwame Brown said so, that Gilbert Arenas, Steven Jackson, and Matt Barnes are a part of this so-called Go Along Get Along gang, whatever that gang actually is. And look, it is what it is. If you want to label people that way and you want to put them in that group, that's fine, right? But I want to know why people like Sally Jenkins, why she's not constantly attacked and thrown into that bundle of African American people that seem to get attacked endlessly by Kwame Brown and a lot of people that drop videos supporting his talking points, right? Why is Sally Jenkins not at the forefront of this supposed Go Along Get Along gang? That is the primary question today, right? So we'll start from the beginning with Sally Jenkins. We can start from the very beginning. Sally Jenkins, all right, she was one of the first sports writers to begin writing about Kwame Brown. All right. This is when he was the number one draft pick. She was actually one of the first sports writers to write contentious articles about the man, right? Not just about his play on the court, because there were a lot of sports writers There were dozens of reporters who were writing profiles about Kwame Brown being 6'11", 235 pounds, his speed and aggressiveness, and it not really evolving and showing itself on the basketball court. Right. A lot of these journalists were skeptical, right, about his skills. But it was Sally Jenkins who first started to pose a lot of the personal agendas and personal attacks on Kwame Brown. And she was the first person to pose the question, is Kwame Brown actually 19 years old? Or is he really 17 years old? And she started putting out little blogs and rumor snippets with regards to the fact that she believed his parents had lied about his age just to get him to the NBA sooner. When we all know that that's probably not true, because it was his original goal to go to the University of Florida. All right. And I think the NBA just kind of evolved very quickly when his name hit the map, and it just really started to circle around, NBA circles, and people looked at his height, size, his speed, and all those things, and said, hold on, this guy can be an NBA prospect. But she was the first one to start swirling the narratives through the media that Kwame Brown was lying about his age. And so she, from that point forward, she went on this vicious tirade, really trying to dissect Kwame Brown's mental and personal life. And this is not just one article. This is not just 2 articles. This is not just 3 articles. This is not even just 4 articles. Right? There are over 175 articles and publications, either that she wrote directly or that other writers at the Washington Post have quoted her works to use to talk about the man, Kwame Brown. Right? So when we talk about this so-called go along, get along game, right? When we look at people like Stephen A. Smith, right? When we look at a guy like Stephen A. Smith, who is also a journalist, right? Who we hear the narrative, Stephen A., what were you doing in them colleges? Well, we've never heard the narrative, Sally Jenkins, what were you doing in even more colleges than Stephen A. Smith, right? She was not only visiting more colleges than Stephen A. Smith, but she was one of the first to start publicly talking about Kwame Brown's private life, his mental compass, and then using those things in thesis studies for college students and journalistic investigators as examples. And these examples are now considered scholarly works within over 300 universities. Right? These are all her works are now published within these universities as scholarly resources. Do you guys know how many scholarly resources Stephen A. Smith has in any university? I can help you guys out. He has 0. She has over 300, and over 100 of those publications are on this man, Kwame Brown. I feel like she has been more detrimental to this man's career than anybody in this image. Right? It's fun to watch the YouTube beefs between Gilbert Arenas and Kwame Brown go back and forth. He blaming Gilbert Arenas for taking money out of his pocket, XYZ, . We saw Charlemagne the God. He alluded to something that Kwame Brown's dad did, and we saw Kwame Brown blow up on him, and he brought up and kind of used the whole Jessica Reed situation to attack Charlemagne the God. D Wade, we've seen him, we've seen him target certain people who he feel have come at him the wrong way or doing things harmful to our community. Why are people so in fear of Sally Jenkins? Why has nobody called her out? And I'm really searching YouTube for a lot of the people that really support Kwame Brown. A lot of his talking points, like to protect his reputation. Nobody has come out publicly and ethered this woman, Sally Jenkins, and called her out for her part. She's played the most figurative role in destroying this man's reputation through social media and any online presence and online online media, as far as when you do research, these are the things that come up. It's a lot of her works that come up that really do the damage to his reputation, right? In one of her first works about Kwame Brown, because remember, she was one of the first people, and why she chose to do this and why she chose Kwame Brown, we will never know, right? We will never know, but she was the first person. So one of the first ways she chose to attack Kwame Brown, she stated, and this is when in a speech at the University of Harvard, she says, I was one of the first people, because she says we couldn't see what was inside of Kwame Brown. She says everybody saw the 6'10" frame, the quickness, the ability to jump, do all these things, right? All the intangibles that you want a great athlete to have. She said everybody saw that. She said I was the only one to see what was inside of him. All right, we're going to pull up one of the first quotes that she said about this man. Is right here. She stated, Kwame Brown knows more than he should about some things, such as certain aspects of human nature, and less than he should about others, such as nutrition, how to treat a good suit, and when to throw the lob pass. What Brown knows and what he does is a consequence of his age. Newly 20 and where he's from, the sawgrass lowlands of Georgia, where crook-armed silhouettes of shrimp boats move against the horizon, and misshapen oaks draped with gothic gray moss line and melting tar streets, so sticky hot that the children, Brown, until recently one of them, hitch up their pants and hop from patch of grass to patch of grass, right? So this was intended to really start to attack the mental acumen and intellect of Kwame Brown, right? She, in her statement, and this is one of her speeches at Harvard University, she detailed about 3 different gaps in Brown's knowledge and hinted at him, and she hinted to him being borderline, having some type of learning disability. She stated at this conference in front of over 2,000 Harvard students, she said that Kwame Brown ate Popeye's chicken for every meal. He would bring a bottle of French dressing to every restaurant that he went to eat at. It said he wadded up his fancy new suits and threw them in the corner because he didn't know how to take them to the dry cleaners. He couldn't follow simple instructions on the basketball court and made embarrassing mistakes that cost his team points and wins. Right? She constantly berated this man. She dove into his personal life. Whether these things are factual or not, no one contested her sources. No one asked her, where are you getting this information from? But yet, they have labeled her as a scholarly author in a lot of her works, such as this piece right here, such as the same as her statement at Harvard University when she had, when she did this entire speech in front of 2,000 students at Harvard. This is considered scholarly journalism and a scholarly work that students can research and use. Students who are going to school looking to be sports journalists can look at her works and everything that she did and said about Kwame Brown. These are the things that are used as scholarly research for up and coming students. Not anything that Stephen A. Smith says, not anything that Michael Wilbon has said, not anything that Chris Broussard has said, not anything that Tommy Sotomayor, Dr. Boyce Watkins, the Hood Trucker, LeBron James, DJ Envy, Charlamagne the God. None of these people right here on this image, or none of the people that we see constantly attacked by him, they're not looked at as experts in their field. Sally Jenkins is. Sally Jenkins is considered, if you go look it up, she's considered to be an expert in sports writing and journalistic investigation on players with her primary research revolving around Kwame Brown. All you got to do is do the slightest bit of research to find this information, right? She went on these tirades really going at Kwame Brown, right? And when we talk about people like Charlamagne the God, we saw how upset Kwame Brown was as Charlemagne the God, because Charlemagne the God alluded to Kwame Brown's father, obviously having some run-ins with the law, potentially still locked up for a crime that he committed. I don't know the backstory to that. But was Charlemagne the God the first person to do that? No, it was Sally Jenkins who first put this information about Kwame Brown's life. And she did this in a speech at the Berkeley Center for Higher Education, right? She said, the Kwame Brown story is a sad one. This is her words. She said, from his abusive father to his troubled siblings to his fear of the world, after making so many millions, he could afford any life he dreamed of. Right. And many of Sally Jenkins, many of her things she really tried to evoke the emotions of people, but at the expense of Kwame Brown, at the expense of exposing his personal life, if this was even true, even if she was making up lies. Like, she did all of these things to advance her career at the expense of Kwame Brown. We can bring up another statement that she said, and I feel like this is really damning right here. In that same speech at the Berkeley Center for Higher Education, she said these things about Kwame Brown and his family. This is crazy right here. Okay, she said, right, and this is just to add on to the things that she had already stated in her opening statements. She said, where Brown is from, religion can be a fairly desperate matter, begging for some explanation and improbable rescue from the unpayable bills and the empty refrigerators and the illness that comes from living in stagnation and deprivation. In the case of Joyce Brown, she's referring to Kwame Brown's mom, the gnarling arthritis or the kidney disease that left her with just one, or the degenerative disc in her back from cleaning under all those beds at a local Holiday Inn. And what's even worse is, after all of this, she alluded to Joyce Brown having to work and live under these same conditions even after Kwame Brown made the NBA, as if the man wasn't using his money to put his mom in a better situation after he finally amassed a lot of wealth from the NBA. She made those allegations in a speech at the Berkeley Center for Higher Education. That speech is considered scholarly work, right? It's published in a scholarly thesis with the Berkeley Center for Higher Education, right? This is a woman who, again, is listed as an expert in sports writing and journalistic investigation, primarily revolving around the man Kwame Brown. Yet, we see Gilbert Arenas, Michael Wilbon, people like Chris Broussard, even Jamel Hill, attacked and highly criticized by Kwame Brown just for having a difference of opinion. None of these people went as far as what Sally Jenkins did. Sally Jenkins almost made it a career goal to go at Kwame Brown anytime she could, and it almost sounds like she did it even if the information she was receiving was not 100% accurate. I feel like she was receiving some accurate information, mixing it with some fictional information, really using it to invoke the emotional side of people, and again, using Kwame Brown and his life experiences to advance her career. If that isn't a go along, get along gang, then I don't know what is. But yet we see no one really going at what she's doing. I see so many black YouTubers attacking other black athletes, entertainers, and other black YouTubers, but they haven't done any research with regards to who was really putting out that false narrative that Kwame Brown was a bust, not just on the basketball court, but was a bust in real life, right? Sally Jenkins, we can continue on with this. Sally Jenkins, she also acknowledged that it was just too hard to feel sorry for a player like Kwame Brown, who was being paid millions of dollars to watch NBA games from the bench. These are her words, right? This is something that she alluded to at the University of Chicago, right? She said verbatim, she said, he goofed off, slacked off, and mouthed off, right? And so basically when she was saying that, she said doesn't go easy on Brown, right? This is why she cracks the funny jokes about him being the bus any chance she gets, right? To get the crowd laughing, doing some of her speeches in front of these college students, right? After quoting Joyce Brown, Joyce Brown had made a statement, and this is Kwame Brown's mom. She made a statement saying that God himself made her son the #1 pick, right? And then Sally Jenkins said in a Washington Post article the next day, the Washington Wizards, on the other hand, wanted to see less of God's work and more work from Kwame Brown himself, alluding to the fact that he really wasn't doing much on the basketball court at the time, irregardless of any underlying circumstances that may have been permitting the man from being successful on the floor. All right. These are the things, these are the people that were truly putting the narratives out there that this man Kwame Brown was not just a bad person on the court, but he was a bad person off the court. These are the people it was Sally Jenkins and the writers underneath her at the Washington Post. Remember, you're talking over 300 articles in a very small amount of time. 300 articles is a lot of articles to write on one person, right? We see people get mad at Tommy Sotomayor, the hood trucker and the most hated blogger. We see people get mad at them because they dropped 3 and 4 videos on Kwame Brown, right? People are threatening them. People are threatening to pull up on them and take their life. We see these crazy back and forths, right? We see all these things, and you pull up here and boxing match here and there. With these things, this is what it's evolving into with Kwame Brown with these people. But yet no one's told Sally Jenkins to pull up. No one's pulled Sally Jenkins' criminal history. And there is a criminal history there that can be pulled up. Why? We did the research here at FYF Sports. But, even my criminal background was pulled. And I just had very light criticism for the man Kwame Brown. I really didn't have tough criticism for him. I just contested a few talking points. But even I was attacked to that particular degree. Yet Sally Jenkins was never attacked to that certain degree, and she's been more detrimental to the person, the man. Remember, let's stay away from the basketball, because this is what Kwame Brown says. I'm not here to talk basketball, so let's not talk basketball. Let's talk about the man. She addressed the man in over 100 articles. She addressed the man, right? And the reason why she had a personal vendetta with this man Kwame Brown, after Kwame Brown re-signed with the Charlotte Bobcats, Jordan re-signs Kwame Brown, right? Gave him another chance at life. Do you know what she did? She republishes an interview that really, at the time, the interview didn't catch, this interview didn't catch really a lot of media ire at the time. It's just, at that particular time, Kwame Brown's name just really wasn't popular in the sports circuits. So when Michael Jordan decided to re-sign Kwame Brown to another deal with the Charlotte Bobcats, really kind of at a time where a lot of teams were starting to give up on the man, she republished an interview that she did with Doug Collins and Popeye Jones. I'm going to read to you what she republished, because every time he popped his head up doing something positive in basketball, she made sure to pop her head up and publish something completely negative about the man, right? This is what she said. First, she started it off by saying she was just surprised by the fact that Michael Jordan would sign him, being that the man looked completely overweight and out of shape, right? But then she published her conversation with Popeye Jones, right? When Popeye Jones played with the Wizards. Popeye Jones told Sally Jenkins, Kwame Brown couldn't do anything right. He couldn't catch. He couldn't throw it. He couldn't shoot it right. This is what Wizards Popeye Jones says. In a series of 3-on-3 drills, he said the Wizards banged him up hard intentionally. Says he got beat around, knocked to the ground. All right, this is all things that Popeye Jones said. He even alluded to a time that the center, Jahadi White, knocked Kwame Brown on the ground and then fell on top of him. Kwame Brown just laid on the ground there, stunned and bruised. Popeye Jones, or Jahadi White, actually yelled at Kwame Brown, "Get up, you ain't hurt." Brown got up, aching, holding his back. His gray practice shirt was soaked through. Nobody had any sympathy for him, not even Popeye Jones, the veteran who looked out for him most, right? Popeye Jones then told Kwame Brown, "It's time for you to grow up." Jones told him coldly, now, today. Stand on your own 2 feet. Then Wizards coach Doug Collins stepped in and he wasn't satisfied, and he ordered a set of punishing sprints. Kwame Brown hesitated and said, "I hurt my back." Right? Then Collins wheeled. Now it was his turn to really berate Kwame Brown. According to Sally Jenkins, she said that Doug Collins told Kwame Brown, "Stop being a baby, start growing up and playing and earning the respect of your teammates." This is what Doug Collins shouted. They're tired of you. They're tired of you getting knocked down and laying around. They're tired of you holding your back and holding your head and holding your thumb. You're the one who has to be in that locker room and meet them eye to eye. Doug Collins said Kwame Brown stared at his feet, and Doug Collins asked him, "Do you want to play or not?" Kwame Brown didn't answer. And then Doug Collins yelled at him disgustingly, "Get off the fucking court." Right? It was reported, and this is what Sally Jenkins reported, that Kwame Brown sat in front of his locker, trembling and crying. She said he thought, "This is it." He thought, "The league is not for me. I'm horrible. The coach thinks I'm horrible. The whole team thinks I'm horrible. I can't even play." Then he got on a treadmill and ran as hard as he could for an hour. These are the types of stories that she would put out. Whenever any positive information came out about Kwame Brown, if he was getting signed, right? If he getting signed to another team, right? If he was playing good for any particular stretch of time, what would she do? She took it upon herself to publish information that completely went against anything he was doing to good. She wanted to not just paint a picture that Kwame Brown was borderline illiterate and a horrible basketball player, but she wanted to make sure that was the lasting impression that people had. So again, every time something good came out about the man, she made sure to shut it down, either by publishing new works on him or republishing old works on them that really weren't as popular or really didn't pick up much media spin at the time, right? When we look at this list right here, right, and one of the people that I, mistakenly left off was Stephen A. Smith. We had Kwame Brown on this show. Kwame Brown talked about people like Stephen A. Smith and being a media member that cost these players dollars and cents. And my big question was, name one player that's come out publicly and said Stephen A. Smith has cost him dollars and cents. And he struggled to answer the question. And he deflected and went to a different topic. He did not provide any names of any players that that have admitted that Stephen A. cost them money. Right? However, the NBA, because the NBA saw all of Sally Jenkins' publications and writings on Kwame Brown, they noticed that she had been at speaking arrangements at Harvard, the University of Chicago, at Berkeley, the University of California, and all of her works were listed as scholarly pieces, academia pieces, right, that students use as educational references. The NBA asked Sally Jenkins to attend a board meeting that was directly about the minimum age for players entering the draft. This was around the time, this was around 2004 and 2005, when David Stern was really considering placing a minimum age for the NBA draft. And so the NBA was kind of at a crossroad. You had some people over here saying, yes, do it. I'm sure you had college people for the money reasons saying, yes, put in an age gap so we can get those guys here into these universities to make some more money. But did the NBA bring Stephen A. Smith in to get his thoughts on this? No. Did the NBA bring in Michael Wilbon to get his thoughts on this? No. Did they bring in Jamel Hill or Michael Wilbon or any of these black sports media figures that cost these players money because they talk bad about them in the media? Who did they bring in to get thoughts on this age requirement to enter into the NBA. They brought Sally Jenkins in, and we're gonna pull up her opening statements. In her opening statement, she alluded to we're gonna pull up her opening statements, and in her opening statements, she alluded to Kwame Brown as a primary example as to why the NBA should seek to have an age minimum for players entering the NBA draft. Here it is right here. Sally Jenkins stated, Kwame Brown's naivety poses the question once again. Is it wise for the NBA to make a foray into surrogate parenting of kids fresh from high school? What's to be done with the Kwame Brown? What is the nature of the league's responsibility to such a tender rookie? No one is quite sure. She made those statements, and she gave an hour-long symposium on why the NBA should seek a minimum age requirement. And all of her bullet points revolved around Kwame Brown and many of the examples that she put out in the Washington Post with regards to his youth, with regards to his mental acumen, and what she claimed for him to not be a very good decision maker. Okay, and so what she said reverberated with David Stern for almost a year, until around 2005. And when it came time to make the decision for the minimum age for players coming into the draft, David Stern openly stated that his decision was largely based on some of the things that Sally Jenkins had said in that hour-long symposium that when they invited her to that NBA board meeting, right? And he said that contributed to his decision to change the age minimum. It wasn't Stephen A. Smith. It wasn't Michael Wilbon. It wasn't Chris Broussard. It wasn't Jamel Hill. It wasn't these black sports reporters that we constantly see attacked by this platform. It was Sally Jenkins. The only thing that we have as documented proof, Sally Jenkins went to a board meeting in front of David Stern, used Kwame Brown as an example as to why David Stern should change the NBA age minimum, right? Therefore, in turn, taking a lot of money out of some of these young players' pockets, because a lot of these guys who could go straight to the league would have to go to college. Some of these guys go to college and get hurt. Some of these guys go to college and fall off the map. Their draft stocks drop and they lose a lot of money. Sally Jenkins has the only example on record that you can fact check that where she cost players money based on her words and some of the things that she was putting out there. And she used Kwame Brown as the example as to why. It wasn't Stephen A. Smith. David Stern publicly came out and said it was Sally Jenkins who helped influence him to make the decision. So when I look at this channel right here, Smash the Like TV, I implore channels like you yourself, let's not be so quick to put these athletes like Steven Jackson, Matt Barnes, and Gilbert Arenas on your thumbnail in a negative light that's outside of the context of sports. Let's not be so quick to throw them on your thumbnail and tear them down personally based on something another person said without doing your research. All right, let's hold off on doing that. Let's do your research, and if you want to really target sports people in sports media that are tearing down black men and black athletes, why don't you let's start targeting the right people? How about we start calling out the right people, right? When I implore some of the Kwame Brown enthusiasts, let's drop the videos and let's start exposing Sally Jenkins. Let's expose those people, because Sally Jenkins is not, and you know what? I understand. Sally Jenkins' name is not popping like that in the algorithm. Doug Collins' name ain't hitting like that in the algorithm. David Stern and some of these people's names aren't hitting in the algorithm. Your views will probably drop, right? It's not going to be as entertaining. Yep, your fans aren't going to get the, when you talk about Sally Jenkins, she's not going to pop up with a video coming back saying she's going to pull up, right? And set up a boxing match. You know, you're not going to have that entertaining back and forth that a lot of people are seeking. Right, but you will at least expose the truth, right? We can joke and conversate about this, but once what I'm starting to see is a trend here, because Sally Jenkins is one of many white sports media figures that went at Kwame Brown, yet no one knows their names or faces, but yet all of these people over here, we can point out times where Kwame Brown or Kwame Brown's fans have attacked these people, the African-American athletes and entertainers, right? Whatever you think about athletes and entertainers, people can say they sold their soul or whatever to get there. They still are black athletes and entertainers, right? And what we pride ourselves over here at FYF Sports is, if you're going to attack one, I don't have any problem with attacking these black athletes and entertainers. But let's make sure that we're even in the scales and we're attacking all parties involved, right? If you're gonna call out Stephen A. Smith, Chris Broussard, and Michael Wilbon, understandably so. Again, if you have a gripe with them, maybe we don't know about it, I'm fine with that. But equally, let's get on Sally Jenkins, who has a track record of doing more damage to Kwame Brown's reputation and career than any of these people combined. Right, you can put together Stephen A. Smith, Michael Wilbon, Jamel Hill, all of these people. You can even throw in Most Hated Blogger, Trucker, Hood Trucker, Sotomayor. You can put all their works together and combine them, and it won't equal the damage that with Sally Jenkins she's done. It won't equate to what she's done if you do your research. Just because she's not on YouTube making videos about it doesn't mean it's not out there. Get outside of this box of YouTube. Do real research on what's real and what's fake, because Gilbert Arenas is just a basketball player. Gilbert Arenas did not cost Kwame Brown any money, right? And you know what? Kwame Brown has a right to feel that way, but he has nothing. He has no documented or verified evidence that Gilbert Arenas did, and Gilbert Arenas has vehemently denied it. Sally Jenkins, on the other hand, has a track record of attacking this man Kwame Brown. Right. And there's verifiable proof that she is taking money out of athletes' hands based on her words, her actions, and the publications that she's put out. She too, like Stephen A. Smith, has went to those colleges and said detrimental things about this man, not just about him personally, not that they couldn't make a layup. Remember what we said before, right? She attacked his intellect, right? She said that the man had poor nutrition. She accused his parents of lying about his age just to get him in the NBA, to get NBA money and get NBA checks. She said all of these things, y'all. I went through everything. I broke it all down. There's more than what I just could fit into one individual video. My question to everybody involved is, where is the beef with Sally Jenkins? Where are the beef videos? Where are the videos calling her out? Right? Because I want people to know that most of these beefs with the black athletes, entertainers, and YouTubers is for entertainment. It's not real. What Sally Jenkins did was real. And there's a tangible, verifiable, documented track record of what she did. And it still exists in schools as not just, you know what, Stephen A. Smith went to those colleges, he cracked jokes about Kwame Brown, but nobody took that seriously. That's for entertainment. The bad thing about Sally Jenkins is that after she went to those schools and gave those speeches, after she wrote those articles that got sent out to colleges and universities as scholarly works, well, she was then labeled to be an expert in sports writing and journalistic investigation, primarily after she released all of her works on Kwame Brown. And Kwame Brown is actually one of the people, she used him to jumpstart her career. And that's what she did. Now she's kind of branched off doing other things. She got into women's basketball and things like that. She's branched off and done a number of things. But you guys got to do your homework, man. Let's really start. If we're gonna create a go along, get along gang. Okay, we have an entertainment go along, get along gang. The people that we want to go have fun with. You know, the YouTube back and forth for the views and the algorithm and all of that. But when we gonna attack the Sally Jenkins? All right, when we gonna call the real people out that create real problems, and not just real problems. The things that she said and did about this man Kwame Brown are etched in history, ingrained in history. These are going to be pieces of works that students 60, 70, 80 years from now are going to be able to read. And they're going to be, 60, 70 years from now, students are going to be able to pick up, you'll be able to go on Google and look up academia pieces. And they're going to be able to read her works. And they're going to say, okay, I need to write this sports paper, right? If you need to write a sports paper on athletes and how they absorb negative criticism. And let's say you find some articles that Sally Jenkins did on Kwame Brown, right? Is what she said about Kwame Brown, is it truly elite educational writing that students should be using? I don't believe so. Because again, a lot of the things that she said went uncontested. No one asked to fact check the things she said. No one asked her to clarify who her sources were. She just said these things and they were accepted as fact. All right. So I compel people, let's not be so quick to tear down the few black athletes, entertainers, and media figures that we have. And if we're going to create this so-called thing called a go along, get along gang, let's put everybody in there that actually belongs. And the first person that belongs, if you're going to have this so-called go along, get along game, first person that needs to be in there is Sally Jenkins. And it doesn't just need to be one video, right? I mean, if Tommy Sotomayor is worth 10, 15 videos, if the Hood Trucker's worth 10, 15, 20 videos, if Hassan Campbell's worth 20 videos, if Boyce Watkins versus 5 videos, if Stephen A. Smith is worth 20, 30 videos, then Sally Jenkins is easily worth about 200 to 300 videos and multiple from the Kwame supporters that kind of push a lot of his talking points as soon as he says them. And then they start putting his content out there on their platforms as well. Let's attack the real people. Let's attack the people that are really going at these black athletes. Let's attack the people that are using these black athletes' names to boost and jumpstart their careers. All right. Let's get off this. Let's get off these weak narratives, because from what I see, and we can even go look at the Joe Rogan situation. Do you guys see how easily manipulated black YouTube is just based off the Joe Rogan situation? How easily we got manipulated, right? Joe Rogan said some things highly critical, or he didn't say some things. He had a guest on his show saying things highly critical about transgenderism, LGBTQ, the COVID-19 issue, things like that. Highly critical, right? People wanted to cancel him. So what did the cancel culture do? What did they do? If we want to send true backlash at Joe Rogan, they knew the community to target to do so, right? They said all we have to do is go put together a collage of Joe Rogan's old videos that were actually already public, times that he said the N-word. If we put them into a collage and create our own context and narrative, make it look good, we can tell black people he's been saying the N-word for a long time. And now we get black people to also jump in on this cancel culture push. And so now you see black people now coming out saying Joe Rogan said the N-word and should he be canceled, X, Y, and Z, and he's wrong for that. The thing, my thing, any black person, anybody that's put out a video on Joe Rogan, my number one question is going to be, why didn't you say anything when he first said it? Why wait till somebody puts a collage of these clips together after when we all know they're trying to cancel him based on the most recent guest that he had on his show? Why go into this weird outrage now after we know there's just a push trying to cancel him? Why? When these clips were already public, it's not like they were hidden clips. They weren't hidden. It wasn't something that he said and it was tucked away somewhere. They were all public. Somebody clipped it together and said, we can get black YouTubers and black media to jump on this train. Because we know they fall for anything. So my question is, are the black followers on YouTube, the people that are so quick to jump on any movement, jump on any person's particular bandwagon, are you guys the actual go along, get along gang? Because you're so easily swayed with very little evidence, right? We ask so few questions. People can tell us anything and we will run with it as if it's fact without doing any research at all. Right? I've literally watched people from Kwame Brown on down the line to other people. We've heard Ticket TV. We could just stick into our small spectrum, our small circle. Right? Ticket TV, 100,000 subscribers over there. How many times has he said something super outlandish on his channel, but people run with it as fact? Not doing any research. Not doing no research at all. Kwame Brown says Stephen A. Smith took money from players. Nobody does any research. Nobody asks any questions. They just run with it as if it's fact. And I'm not even a Stephen A. Smith proponent or defender. I just ask questions. If he costs players money, who? That's the only question I ask. Give me a player. Maybe I can sit down with that player and get an interview, ask some questions. You know, these are the questions I ask. You know, when I was in the process of doing this research right here on Kwame Brown, obviously the Sally Jenkins did a lot of articles on Kwame Brown and the Merrill Lynch situation and how Kwame Brown sued Merrill Lynch for $17.4 million. Right? That's a teachable moment for a lot of people, right? The things that Kwame Brown alleged that was happening to him, forging documents, doing investments without his permission, all of these things, the same exact things happened to an NFL player by the name of Darren McFadden, right? Imagine if we start taking some of our failures, as opposed to allowing someone like Sally Jenkins to capitalize off your story. Monetize your story and spin it into something negative that's going to be implanted on the internet forever. Not just implanted on the internet. Her works on Kwame Brown with regards to the Merrill Lynch situation are listed on Harvard.com as a scholarly thesis. Right? How about when are we going to start creating our own narrative, taking those negative situations, explaining them publicly, so that other athletes and entertainers and other people who are following your footsteps don't fall into those same issues? Because Darren McFadden literally ran into the same situation where he had a financial advisor steal millions of dollars from him. Not just steal millions of dollars from him, but the same thing: forge documents, do things without his permission, create accounts, things like that. Darren McFadden had the same problems. How about we monetize our own issues, our own shortcomings, so that people like Sally Jenkins can't do it? I think those would be the greatest lessons of all. And then those would be the real teachable moments. Open up and talk about your failures, right? A lot of people got on, you know, I went to Hood Trucker's channel the other day, and he was on there talking about his criminal history and some of his charges. And, you know, he kind of correlated it to a recent incident where he was getting pulled over, right? Regardless of what you think about Hood Trucker, some of the things that he might have said about Kwame Brown, and then they're back and forth, irregardless of what you feel about that particular story, what Hood Trucker was doing, I feel, was expressing a teachable moment, taking some of his shortcomings, talking about them publicly so no one else can, right? And I respect what he did. So now, if he does get into something, you know, he's obviously a crazy, you know, he's crazy YouTuber. He's crazy, does and says crazy stuff all the time. We know people want to attack him. It's going to be hard to attack him with his criminal history now, because he's publicly talked about his shortcomings. And then he correlated it with a situation where he said, because of my criminal history, I know I have to interact with the police in this particular manner. It's a teachable moment. Through all the comedy and through all the jokes, you can take something from that and run with it. And then you can get back to the comedy. This is what I feel more YouTubers, especially some of these athletes and entertainers, should be doing. This is one of the reasons why I appreciate Gilbert Arenas. I appreciate Gilbert Arenas sitting down, talking about his mistake with the gun incident. I appreciate that. Why he talks about it? Well, I'm glad he talks about it publicly. Talks about his shortcomings. Does he have any regrets? what he would do differently, so other things in his career that he felt were shortcomings. I'm glad that he talks about them, because now other people can't weaponize it and monetize his failures. Okay, yeah, he got on Vlad TV and talked about it. But the thing is, he's Vlad TV wasn't the first time he talked about his issues or his shortcomings in the NBA. That's just a bigger platform. Vlad probably paid him to be on there. You know, that's what I think we should be doing right here. And again, with the Sally Jenkins issue right here, she should be number one on the list for anybody that even uses the term "go along, get along" game. I honestly believe you shouldn't even be allowed to say the word "go along, get along" game if you don't understand the history of Sally Jenkins, what she did, and how she attacked Kwame Brown. She made a career, and she's made millions of dollars off attacking Kwame Brown. None of these people on here did that. None of these people made their careers on Kwame Brown. None of them. You can try to claim that they did, but again, 60, 70 years from now, if a student wants to look up a piece and they need a reference from a person who's considered an expert in sports writing and journalistic investigation, well, when they open that academia forum up and start searching through articles, yep, they're not going to see an article from Tommy Sotomayor. They're not going to see an article from Hassan Campbell. They're not going to see an article from Steven Jackson or Matt Barnes or Michael Wilborn or Gilbert or D Wade or Russell Westbrook or LeBron or DJ Envy. All of the people that constantly get attacked, they will see an article from Sally Jenkins. And they will literally see hundreds of articles of her dissecting and breaking down this man, Kwame Brown, probably with some truth, but more than likely with a lot of lies mixed in with it. Right? Really going at his intellect. Right? If somebody wants to write a report about why the NBA changed the age minimum to get into the league, they're going to be referencing Sally Jenkins. They're not going to reference Stephen A. Smith. David Stern publicly came out and said it was her symposium that led to him making that decision. And her story about Kwame Brown and him needing an adult babysitter to follow him around and him not being able to take care of himself, him acting as if he was 17, but he was really 19, which because of how he acted, she believed this is why she believed he was 17 years old, not 19. And the funny thing is that Kwame Brown was on his channel saying he was 17 coming into the league. Like, so is there some truth to some of the things that she's saying if you're actually saying some of these things? Because when you Google it, it says he was drafted at 19, which we see a lot of people getting drafted at 19 right now. Devin Booker, Luka Doncic, a lot of these players are getting drafted at 19 years old. So yeah, fresh out of high school, some of these guys got 1 year of college, but a lot of the players getting drafted right now are getting drafted at 19. I think the youngest player ever drafted was probably Kobe Bryant. So, I mean, we got to put context to some of these things we're saying. I just had to eat through that. And that's just my message to some of these smaller YouTubers. It's called research purposes only, man. Do your research. Let's not just label these black athletes, right? Let's stop labeling them as, people who are not good for the community. Is everybody on this list perfect? No, right? Gilbert has his shortcomings. Charlemagne has his shortcomings, right? Steven Jackson, I didn't like his affiliation with BLM, but I'm not going to villainize him for it. Hassan Campbell, I don't agree with everything Hassan Campbell says, but I'm not going to turn him into the villain of the black community because he says a few things that I don't like, right? Thomas Sotomayor, this man is self-proclaimed king of controversy. Every day he's saying something that's controversial, but I'm not going to label him as the black person that's super destructive to the black community, right? Same thing with most hated blogger. I go over there and listen to him. Has me dying laughing. Right? Do I take everything he says seriously? No. You know what? But I'm definitely tuning in when the man does the prank calls. Oh, when he does the prank calls and he's calling the Chinese food places, I'm on the floor rolling. I take what I can and I try to take the positives from the majority of these channels that you can. And I feel like too many people go to these black athletes and entertainers seeking the negative. They don't seek the positive out of them, right? If you go to Stephen A. Smith seeking the negative, you're going to get the negative. But if you seek the positive, you'll see that he's one of the few black men in the country who are at the top of the journalistic profession. The same with Chris Broussard, who said he's extremely lucky to have gotten where he's at. And Michael Wilbon, who's been a sports writer in Chicago for years. Not easy to get to where they are, especially when you got people like Sally Jenkins using athletes like Kwame Brown to pave their way to the top. Right? Is Michael Jordan a villain? Right? You got some people saying that Michael Jordan bought into prisons. Did Michael Jordan buy into prisons? No. The person that bought into prisons was a white dude by the name of Michael Jordan. The unfortunate reality is that Kwame Brown actually bought into prisons. Right? He bought into prisons, and this is something that he admitted on his own show. I mean, was that a good investment? I mean, I know Merrill Lynch did some bad investment, but how did that investment pan out? How much money did you make off the incarceration of black men? Right? When we look at this list right here, I try my best to not seek the negative in any content creator or athlete. Find the positive in it, and let's not harp on the negative, because there's really people out here like Sally Jenkins that is really turning your weaknesses and your failures, and they're weaponizing them against you. And they're not just monetizing it, but they're documenting these things as facts to be studied for years and years and years on end. I want you guys to decide and tell me what's worse. Content creators who are here for entertainment, athletes who are here for entertainment, sports journalists who talk on sports for entertainment, or people like Sally Jenkins who have weaponized their words and their actions and turned them into what people now are going to refer to as academic works or scholarly theses and journals that students studying athletes in the future are going to use as legit reference points. This is what's happening. So again, today is the day, man. It's time for everybody, and I implore everybody, let's hit Sally Jenkins with that max ether. If you're a content creator, right? If you have a channel, right? Before you make that next video going at a Matt Barnes and calling him Becky with the good hair, or before you make that video going at Hassan Campbell or Tommy Sotomayor, why don't y'all start thinking about the Sally Jenkins of the world? All right, when we gonna start thinking about the Tom Schroeder of the Washington Post? How many people know who Tom Schroeder is of the Washington Post? Did anybody see the articles that he's written about black athletes? Right? Did anybody see the thesis that he put out? And he's a writer with the Washington Post, criticizing the black athlete's ability to absorb negative criticism, and he referenced Sally Jenkins' articles because her articles are looked at as a scholarly talking points. He talked about black athletes compared to white athletes and how black athletes aren't able to absorb the criticism as much as white athletes. They say white athletes are able to more easily absorb it and are not allowed it to affect them in their day-to-day lives. It doesn't affect them. It doesn't force them to go overspend and have exorbitant spending habits. But they talk about black people and all the criticism from the community and the pressures from their family lead them to having absorptive spending habits, spending all their money, leading them to be broke when they're done. My thing is, well, you know what? One of the things that's causing these athletes to be broke is getting linked up with poor financial advisors. Where are your articles about that? Where's these articles going at Wells Fargo? Where are your articles going at some of these shady financial advisors that are stealing these players' money? They're entrusting them with all of their NBA money. Where are the articles from the Washington Post about that? When are we going to start ethering the people that deserve to be ethered? When are we going to start really trying to make a change? Right? Just because somebody said, just because somebody said you can't make a layup, is that the big picture? Is that what you really mad at? I think it's more detrimental when you have writers and you have sports writers and sports journalists like Sally Jenkins and Tom Schroeder, both who work for the Washington Post. This is where they attacking the black athletes. They attacking this. in their scholarly works, they're telling us that black athletes don't know how to use their brain. They don't know how to think. And then they're using your life, the things that you guys put out there publicly, as examples, right? It might have been funny for Kwame Brown to tell somebody the story that he was balling his suits up, throw him in the corner. But you know what? Sally Jenkins is in the back taking notes. Oh, the man don't even know how to iron his suits. Let me write that down. Right? Oh, the man said he wasn't used to living by himself. Let me write that down. Oh, the man said he didn't like the food at the fancy restaurants, had to bring French dressing. Not professional. Let me write that down. That's what Sally Jenkins was doing. And she's sitting here taking notes and she's gathering all this information up, but she knows how to disseminate it in a way to make it seem as if you are intellectually beneath her and your white counterparts, the other, and those white athletes. That's the intent there, right? The only way she can prove to me otherwise, because I've read all of her works, I've looked it up, I've looked at the scholarly journals. The only way she could prove to me otherwise is if she actually pulls up the FYF Sports and explains to me something different than what I read. And even then, she's going to have a hard time disproving what I've already read. What she said and done is locked and etched in history. It's not going to change. When Harvard lists what you write as journalistic work, it's etched in history. It's time for us to start attacking the people and labeling the people who are really attacking the black athletes and entertainers, YouTubers. Let's start targeting the right people, right? I understand that we're not going to make these beefs and stuff go away overnight. That's always going to be there. Yes, it's fun to watch the back and forths, but it needs to get to a point in time where let's stop jeopardizing our credibility, right? You know, I'm going to pull it up one more time. Let's not jeopardize our credibility, Smash the Like TV, by saying, because you're using Kwame Brown as your reference point. Kwame Brown sending Gilbert Arenas in the Go Along Get Along gang a serious message, as if Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson are a part of some Go Along Get Along gang. No, those are two athletes who, after their careers are over, they started to dive into, creating their own podcasts and businesses and media, right? So they can have a life after basketball. Right. This is something that we saw a lot of players in the 90s and 80s not be able to do. And they went broke. I mean, at least we're seeing these athletes try to build something after their careers are over. That's why you have to salute Kwame Brown with what he's doing. Right. Merrill Lynch stole 30% of his NBA earnings. If Merrill Lynch stole 30% of his NBA earnings, we say the government probably took another 40% in taxes. Right. And he probably spent some of that as well himself. Right. Of course, he's going to need another profession to fall back on. He's definitely going to need another profession to fall back on. Right. Now that he's not getting those NBA checks. And yes, he has his NBA pension coming. But is that going to be enough to feed your family? So just like I was talking to Elder, you guys know Elder Rufus, and I was talking to him behind the scenes. I keep telling y'all, it's time to start. As opposed to villainizing all of these black athletes and content creators, it's time to start supporting. Elder has been a big proponent of people supporting these channels, right? I've been a big proponent of it. Doing these, I even told Elder, I use Ticket TV as an example. I don't like his content. I don't like some of the narratives that he pushes. I feel like he lies on these athletes all the time. But as a content creator, what he does is hard. And so I understand why he asked his subscriber base to hit the Cash App, hit the PayPal. Because if you're going to be sitting there all day absorbing his content for free, you need to support somehow. Give back to a black business. And I feel the same way with these black athletes, content creators, and entertainers. I don't agree with everything Hassan Campbell says. I don't agree with everything Most Hated Blogger says. But you know what? I'm a member on Most Hated Bloggers channel. I'm going to donate to Tommy Sotomayor and to the Hood Trucker, right? I might hit the super chat for Hassan Campbell or Dr. Boyce Washington when they go live. Do I agree with everything they say? No. But at the end of the day, they have businesses that they're trying to run. They have channels that they run. And it's time that we start supporting each other to that degree. We're not all going to agree. Kwame runs around saying it all the time. It's just my opinion. You don't have to agree. He is right in that aspect, but at the same time, He needs to take his own advice. Right? They're not going to always agree with you, and they're probably going to go against some of your talking points, just like I did. And just like you don't want them attacking you, let's try not building up a massive list like you have, right? Kwame Brown supporters and all the people. It's a massive list of black people that you're just simply attacking simply because Kwame Brown doesn't like them. Yet you haven't attacked Sally Jenkins, nor do you even know who Tom Schroeder is, right? Does anybody here know who William Sanders is? In the video that in the video series that he did, which is now published in the Penn State University Journal of Arts and Research with regards to Kwame Brown and his failures in the NBA. Did anybody look that up? Anybody? Does anybody care? Oh, see, but while people are running around calling everyone else algorithm thoughts, the same people running around using these terms and this lingo, y'all are doing the very same things that you're accusing others of. Okay, when you go at Tommy Sotomayor and Charlamagne the God and Gilbert Arenas and D Wade and Russell Westbrook and LeBron, those people's names are hitting in the algorithm a little bit harder than a Tom Schroeder and a Sally Jenkins, right? And a Bill Garford. These people, these are the white writers and the white media faces that were going at Kwame Brown, much more so than a Stephen A. Smith. But is this black community, are we just too easily moved and too easily swayed by all the little trinkets information that the white media just drops in your lap? Y'all believe anything. Y'all run with any story. True or not, y'all just run with it. No facts at all. Come on, y'all. Remember, y'all know what the merch says. Research purposes only, man. Let's go into this, man. It's early in the 2022. Let's have a different mindset, man. Let's not be easily led by misinformation, regardless of who's giving you the information. Man, it's time to fact check everybody. I appreciate everybody on my channel. I say some wrong information, they immediately fact checking stuff that I say. Oh, that ain't right, Lamont. You said that wrong. I have to correct it. I would much rather have people around me that are willing to correct me than just roll with anything that I say. That's how it is, man. But you guys, let me know what you think about this video. Let me know your thoughts about Sally Jenkins, man. What's going on here? Why do you guys feel Sally Jenkins is not getting no ire, no ether from people like Kwame Brown? Why is there a fear? Remember, I say it's time for these YouTubers to face your fears. It's time to start addressing the white media, the media that you guys seem to be scared to address. Like, we don't have any problem, like, with the Deshaun Watson situation, when you had a lot of black YouTubers going at Deshaun Watson, saying that he was guilty, especially from that black women's spectrum inside of things. A lot of black women were just saying he was guilty. We were one of the only platforms to say, hold on, man. We're not about to just roll with what you saying just because y'all say he did this. And you know what? We're the ones that got suspended for 90 days off YouTube. It wasn't no fake slowing your video feed down or all of that weird stuff that people claim YouTube is doing. No, we got an email saying we were shut down for 90 days because of the stance that we took on the Deshaun Watson situation. See, that's what happens to you when they want to shut you down. They don't start playing with your video quality. They shut it down for real, just like they did with us. Because again, we were bringing forth the message that they didn't like. That, hold on, you can't just be labeling these people as innocent. We even did the background research on some of the women making the accusations, right? And you cannot be a known IG thought/prostitute running around talking about this man did something to you. I just don't believe that's true. And that's just a fact. That's just is what it is. But we did the research. We pulled the names. We put the information up on our screen. We weren't scared to go at it directly. The same thing here is, if it's Sally Jenkins, if it's Tom Schroeder, we can't be scared to call these people out, man. It's time for y'all to start facing y'all fears. It's time to address the people that need to get addressed. All right, let's stop playing around. Like, okay, you can have a fun little back and forth, but if you're gonna create this little so-called go along, get along gang or whatever, you're gonna start labeling people they following a white zaddy, which I don't even understand this white zaddy philosophy. If you're gonna start labeling that, you better start targeting the right people, especially when you start using those weird, oddly worded terms like white zaddy. You know, when I heard the term white zaddy, I was like, okay, I know what white is, but what the hell is zaddy? That's what the first thing I said. I said, what is a zaddy? And so that made me go look up zaddy. This is what the word zaddy means. So remember, I told y'all, for Kwame Brown fans, and y'all start running around saying these words of white zaddy, I need y'all to know what a zaddy is. A zaddy is a fine, handsome, and sexy ass intelligent man that makes you smile and drip every time you see him. It's generally a term that women use, not men. So for all these men running around saying white zaddy, remember, this is not a term that men use. All right. It says he knows how to handle business in and out of the bedroom. So this is what a white zaddy is. You low key want to have his baby. So even in the definition of the word zaddy, for the people using it, it says that you low key want to have his baby, and he makes all parts of you excited, including your mind. And if you're running around saying the word zaddy, that means he's in your mind. He smells good, looks good, and is good. And then he gives examples of how to use it. Hell yeah, my zaddy is all that. Damn, zaddy got all my lips smiling. My zaddy is this shit. Be careful of the words y'all use, y'all. Be careful of the terms that y'all be trying to deem and put on other people. Right? And then also be mindful of the fact. I want y'all to all understand this business side of it, y'all. Your YouTube channel is a business. People are watching. I'm getting emails every day from brand partners offering potential brand relationships, brand deals, promotions. There's a lot of money that you can make on your channel, even if you're not monetized, even if you don't have that 1,000 subs. People are watching your channel. Right? Clean up the language on your channel. Don't say that first 2 minutes of your video not cussing is complete BS. That's fake. That's a lie. Even if you cuss if you say the wrong words at the 30-minute mark, the hour mark, the 4-hour mark, the YouTube algorithm will pick up on it. It's the same principle. Use the same principle. If you play copyrighted music 6 hours into your live stream, you know what's going to happen when you end your live stream? As soon as you end your live stream, the algorithm's going to check the audio throughout the whole video. It's not going to check the first 2 minutes. And then you'll get that email saying a copyright has been placed on your video, and all monetization is going to go to the copyright owner. That first 2 minute thing is BS. Remember, all y'all got to do is fact check some of the things that you hear and just don't run with BS, because there are really people out there telling me, oh, I can't cuss during the first 2 minutes because Kwame Brown said if you cuss during the first 2 minutes, and they can change your video feed. Y'all need to stop with the bad misinformation. Do real research on these things, y'all. That's not how YouTube works. Right? And for some of you people, if you are worried about that first 2 minutes, well, why don't you go create a intro opening scene for your live stream that lasts 1 to 2 minutes while people come and join. And maybe you can get that little fictional scare out of your mind by just improving the quality of your channel. This is for everybody involved, right? And I'm not saying I have all the answers, right? Go watch The Lead Attorney. The Lead Attorney offers classes on how to improve your YouTube channel. He does charge. You have to pay that man by the hour for his help, but he's giving you some very valuable information. These are the resources we want to go to, and The Lead Attorney is a black man offering information. Do not shortchange him. Do not ask him for deals. Do not ask him for discounts. Pay him what he's worth. Take the knowledge and profit and maximize it to the best of your capabilities. That's what you do. And when your channel hits to come up, then it's time for you. When it's time for you to get paid, your supporters are not going to shortchange you. I always implore people, quit asking for discounts, man. Why don't you go ask Sally Jenkins for a discount so you can access all of the Washington Post articles? All right, go to look at all of the Harvard academia research. You have to pay $19.95. How about y'all go ask Harvard for a discount? Don't be asking the black people for the discounts. Don't be going to the black content creators asking for discounts or just absorbing their content without supporting what they do, whether you disagree or not. Right? This that's the one thing I didn't like about Mr. Skinny. Mr. Skinny kicked me off my platform because I told him I've supported Tommy Sotomayor. It shouldn't be about, if you don't like his talking points, who cares? It's just words. You have to respect the fact that he has found a way to use YouTube to feed his family. If you don't respect anything, respect that. Remember the first things I said to Mr. Skinny one time was, we disagree on a lot of things, but I respect your platform. I see how you editing and you set up your background and you doing things. Your channel is looking better every time I see it. We gonna disagree on a lot of things. But one of the first things I did was I gave credit to the fact that I see he's actually putting work into his channel. Respect the business side of it. That's that. We got to get off this weird emotional, because the only thing that's happening here in this spectrum with all these YouTubers, it's starting to look like everything that Sally Jenkins and Tom Schroeder talked about in their articles about black people being more susceptible to criticism and not being able to absorb it properly, and it turns into something negative. It's starting to look like it's true. So she's winning ultimately every time we do this. Every time Kwame Brown and his following attack another black content creator, she looks correct. She looks to be right, because everything that she said Kwame Brown will do, he's doing. He's attacking the people closest to him. He's attacking the people that look like him. And that's the only thing that's happening, because the white people responsible for the detrimental effects on his career ain't getting no smoke or ether whatsoever. Not a white player, not a white GM, not a white owner, none of them. It's been all black people, black athletes, black entertainers, black YouTubers that are catching hell for the flack that he took during his career, primarily struck up by Sally Jenkins. Man, it's time to start ethering the right people, getting on the right people, and just understanding what this YouTube thing really is, and not just running with everything you hear, man. Research purposes only, man. Y'all need to get on your job. Do a better job of doing your research so you don't run around these YouTube streets looking and saying silly stuff. Man, that's all we got to do, right? But like I said, we can end this video on the right note. Look, y'all, this is no shade towards anybody, right? A lot of people are going to take this video and run with it and say this is disrespect to other people. No, this is just spitting facts. Everything that I said in this video was facts, because I did simple research on Sally Jenkins, and I just felt like I'm seeing all these content creators attack black athletes and black entertainers so much. It's just like, why? Right? We know Gilbert Arenas for hooping. Why try to attack him personally? Right? We know Michael Wilbon and Chris Broussard. We know them for journalistic and sports. Why are we trying to attack them personally? Right? Like, come on, man. We finding ways to attack black. We literally in creating ways to attack black content creators. I've never seen this. I never thought this YouTube space would get to the point where you got people running around digging up people's criminal history and calling up women that they slept with 5-6 years ago. I mean, it's become weird now to see some of the things that's going on in this community. Right? I had Mr. Skinny tell me in a comment. He literally told me in a comment, F my dead mama. That's what he said in the comment. Right? This is what YouTube's come down to. This is what it is now. When they can't beat you, they just try to say the most harmful and hurtful things. Luckily, I got thick skin, and it don't bother me when people say stuff like that. Right? But I now look at you funny now, because when you say stuff like that, now I have to look at your mental makeup, your acumen, right, and how easily led you are by somebody else's words. right? You just such men. This become a lot of followers. So again, let's not let our sector, man, these black content creators, let's not turn into the things that we preach we don't want to be. If you don't want to be the Stephen A. Smith, if he's the villain, then start doing something different. If you don't want to be these people, let's stop acting like them. Because it's starting to look real sad what we doing here. It's starting to look sad what we doing here. Like, pulling up the hood truckers background and pulling, I'm even hearing people talk about Mr. Skinny being locked up for 11 years. I don't care. How can I judge him off that? How am I judge him off getting locked up? But he's made something of himself now that he's out. Same with hood truckers. Even the most hated bloggers talked about his troubles with the law in the past. He's just open about it. And I like what the most hated blogger said. Look, I'll talk about it so you can't use it. So you can't use it against him because he talks about it and he turns it and he monetizes his own failures and shortcomings. And he's talked about how he raises his own kids and things of that nature and how they stay with him. I don't agree with everything he says, but I applaud how he uses his life examples so other people can't weaponize it and turn it against him. We have to start doing that here in this community, right? Charlemagne the God. Think what you want about the Jessica Reed situation. Again, I'm not diving into that situation because I have my own thoughts and opinions about it, but I'm just not riding with what people are saying about it, right? And at the end of the day, he's spoken on it, right? He's gave his testimonial on it, right? He's gave his apologies and thoughts on it, and I'm over it now. But I never looked at him as a face of the black community. I always looked at him as an entertainer. You can only when I go to a Cat Williams comedy show, I'm not going there taking notes like I'm studying for a social studies exam or something. I'm going there to laugh. People go to the Breakfast Club in the morning to get laughs. Donkey of the day. Nobody looked at him as a face of the community. Why are we running around saying these things? No one looked at Stephen Jackson as a leader of the black community. And he actually got a lot of criticism from black people for jumping into that BLM stuff. That's a fact. I don't think black people are that stupid to be that, like, we can look at Hassan Campbell and know when he's on some BS or when he says something correct. All right. And then that whole Crip Mac situation today. Just I think that was even one of the reasons why I created this video, right? Crip Mac, now a content creator, trying to do the right thing, trying to get out the streets. I'm watching this man go out into his community, hand out pizzas and feed the homeless. But then he popped up on a video today talking about his hood DP'd him. His gang DP'd him. Literally jumped him, had the man all on the ground, halfway knocked out, beat up because of an incident that happened 10 years ago. Why? Oh, because people in his inner circle, envious, jealous, always looking for the negative in something, dug up something from his past where he might have said or did something the wrong way. I'm talking years and years and years ago. And put it on him today and say, oh, because of that, we gotta beat you up. That's what I don't get. And that it's the same thing going on here in YouTube. Just like Crip Mac was DP'd, it's people on YouTube trying to DP other YouTubers by digging up their past, looking up their criminal record. Oh, saying, oh, I got a criminal record, but in your criminal record, you did this in yours. What? That's what we doing now? Oh, you went and you messed with this lady and this lady 5 years ago and she said that's what we doing now? It's getting sad, y'all. This is why sometimes, like, if y'all look at the past week, I didn't go live. This is why I be taking a break from it. Because sometimes I'll be like, for what? Like, what is this all for? I mean, when I go lives half the time, right? If it's not one Kupia elder giving a massive donation to carry the live stream, half the time I'm just sitting there like, why am I live? Right? It's not financially benefiting me. That's what I literally say that sometimes, right? And you start to really lose your motivation to put out quality content time and time and time again. For those exact reasons right there. I just think in the black community, we don't respect the craft. I think we don't respect the crafts. I think we get so caught up in the emotional side of things with regards to words, right? Because I've had people give criticism on my channel. I've had people criticize the way I do things on my channel. I don't care though. And we have these athletes who sit there and get all butthurt and start crying about your take on what you saw when they played. Why do you care? Who cares? It's not that deep. Just take it and roll with it. Darko Milicic is a bum. I'm sure Darko Milicic has publicly came out and said he's fine with that. He's okay. He played over 10 years in the league. But you ain't gonna have not too many people in this world talking about Darko Milicic is not a bust. He's a white guy, picked ahead of Carmelo Anthony, and when he got to the Detroit Pistons, he played like a straight scrub. He lasted in the league because he was 7 feet tall as hell, looked like he had a lot of promise and potential, and it's not a lot of 7-footers. Darko Milicic is always going to be one of the biggest busts in NBA history. I don't care how long he played. You're not going to get me to tell, you're not going to find me, not one person in the world, using sensible logic that's going to tell me Darko Milicic was a hooper. I don't care how many years he played in the league. I don't care that he made the league and all this stuff. He was a bust, and that's just how it is, man. And he's not emotional about it. Oh, yeah. So, again, salute to all these content creators here. Salute to all the black athletes and entertainers on this list, right? I can respect. I don't agree with everybody on this list right here. I can find something to criticize. But you know what? Also, I'm gonna make sure that I take the year 2022 to actively pursue the positives out of all content creators and people that I encounter. Right? It's not gonna be about just going to seek out the negative in what somebody has to say. All right. And this is one of the reasons why I think a guy by the name of Straight Talk made a video about me. This is why I didn't give a response. For what? Why am I gonna go seek out the negative? That'd be so easy for me to seek out the negative and ether that particular talking point. But what do I get out of it? Nothing. What, a back and forth with him? That's gonna amount to nothing. It's gonna amount to some good jokes, but it's just gonna take me off the narrative of talking about sports. So it's gonna get me off my goal, and that's what a lot of this talk and a lot of this conversation has turned into. A lot of the things that we've been saying, doing, and hearing is gotten people off their message, gotten them off the theme and basis of their channel. Right? So again, it's time to FYL Sports Debates, man. It's time for us to debate and go at Sally Jenkins. She's a sports writer. She's a journalistic investigator. And she came with a lot of bad takes. Right? She used Kwame Brown. And not Kwame Brown on the basketball court, but she used Kwame Brown's life experiences off the court, talking about his dad, talking about his brothers, talking about his mom. She used Kwame Brown off the court to jumpstart her career and become a millionaire, and then be considered an expert in sports writing. That's what she did based on Kwame Brown. I would expect somebody like that would be, I think I would be having to talk about her every day. Same with Merrill Lynch. Somebody stole $17 million from me. I'm flaming you every day. And I'm not going to lie about a gag order being placed. I just couldn't do that. I couldn't eat that. There's no court in the world that's going to stop me from talking about that. I'm going to be trying to expose everything you do. And I would be doing the same with Sally Jenkins. Because she made a career, she monopolized and monetized a career of slandering the man. All right, so it's FYF Sports, man. It's been another great podcast episode, man. Salute to you guys for sticking around the whole time, man. If we got here, man, if you made it to the end of the video, we're going to do a giveaway, man. We got a live stream coming. Wednesday night, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I know it's a little later than what we normally do, but we're going to do a live giveaway, man. So spam up in the comments, man. Spam up in the comments your thoughts on Sally Jenkins and just put a hashtag Sally Jenkins in there. Hit a hashtag Sally Jenkins. All right. And that's going to get you an entry into a drawing for, let's say, you know what, we just got a gracious donation to the channel, so we'll do a $100 Amazon gift card, man. $100 Amazon gift card Wednesday during our live stream. The only way you could be eligible, if you stuck around for the whole video and you caught the end of this video, let's get some hashtag Sally Jenkins in the comments of this video. Let's get them in the video where we need to make people aware of who she is, what she did, and how she actually cost NBA players money, and how she actually was used by the NBA because she was labeled as an expert in sports writing. How they use her words and her examples of Kwame Brown to take money out of these NBA players' pockets. It's time to expose her for what she did. When are we gonna start doing? When are we gonna start getting the people that really are a detriment to this community? But it's FYF Sports, man. Another great podcast video. Salute to everybody that stuck around, man. We're gonna be back. Got that live stream Wednesday. More videos coming soon. A lot of these smaller videos again. We're gonna pick up the live streams here soon. It's just been a busy week, man. Y'all know I'm coaching over at GCU, so I got a lot going on over there. But like I said before, man, whether it's my channel, whether it's somebody else's channel, it's time to start supporting content creators, especially black content creators, whether you agree or disagree, right? Trying to turn this into a Crips versus Bloods war, it's just gonna have us running around looking stupid, just like Crip Mac is looking stupid. You know, all the support that he had for his gang, and then now they got him on video doing that. All the support he gave to his community, but now they got him on video getting beat up by his own hood and gang. And people cool with that, and people accepting that. There's some things we shouldn't accept, and that's one thing we shouldn't accept, man. And that's just, it just is what it is. But when we go live again, those are some of the things that we could talk about and touch on. I want everybody's thoughts and opinions on that. It's just time to start bringing light to the stupidity in this sector right here. I think it's starting to get out of hand. People are putting out too much information. They're attacking the wrong people, trying to label people and putting them in groups simply because somebody doesn't like them. Again, too many followers going on, man. You got to start thinking for yourself. It's 2022. FYF Sports, man. Another great podcast episode. We'll be back with more sports and news. But until then, it's FYF Sports, and we out.